Millions of us that are going to be getting an electric shock, so to speak, when we see our energy bills. They're going to be rising by up to £700 a year. I refer, of course, to the 54% rise in the energy price cap. Basically means a household using a typical amount of gas and electricity will now pay £1,900 a year. Now, let's not forget, it's not just energy that is going up, it's the cost of pretty much everything. Of course, many will say that to offset this, the government introduced a rise in the minimum wage and some financial support to soften the blow. But is the government doing enough, Jeevan Sandow?
Absolutely not. It is going to be a very expensive year for everybody ahead, but it's going to be the most deprived who suffer the most. Before today's 50% increase in energy prices, we saw 1 in 3 people struggling to heat their homes. That number is going to go up. 1 in 3 having to cut back on their food shop as well. Now, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, had an extra £20 billion in his pocket at this spring statement, unexpectedly. He could have raised social security payments in line with inflation. He chose not to do so. It means the most vulnerable in this country, children, pensioners, and the severely disabled who can't work, will suffer the most.
So you would have wanted him to raise benefits by more. What was it, 3.1% or something you're raising by? You would want a higher increase in that?
Certainly, at least more than 8%. And he had the money to do so. And those people...
More than 8%?
More than 8%, which is what inflation will be in the next year. And even then, we've got to remember that those in the lowest incomes face a higher inflation rate. They spend more of their money on energy, more of their money on food. Both those prices are going to increase, in part because of the invasion, or Putin's invasion in Ukraine.
Ben Habib?
Well, in very substantially agree with what Jeevan said. You know, I think that we've got a perfect economic storm. And, you know, if you just cast your mind back a little bit, just to try and understand how we got here, it's a direct result of lockdown and bad energy policy from the government. Lockdowns created a complete breakdown in our supply chains, and our government, frankly, was asleep at the wheel. Everyone will recall, viewers will recall, that when we were going through lockdown, the Prime Minister said, well, we're going to use this opportunity for a green new revolution. We're going to become the Saudi Arabia of wind. Well, that hasn't worked so well, has it? Actually, the reality is all economies, particularly Western economies, turn on the use of gas and oil. And we were irresponsible in the way that we let our reserves drop, the way that we haven't exploited natural resources we have in this country that could have alleviated the problems that we're now facing. You know, we deliberately turned our back on fracking. We deliberately haven't been issuing licenses for more gas extraction from the North Sea. And at the end of the day, and this is very basic economics, with which I think Jeevan will definitely agree, is that if you want to solve a problem of inflation, you don't do it by fueling demand. You don't do it by putting a few extra quid in people's back pockets. The way you do it is by increasing supply of whatever that substance is that's caused the constraint in the first place. In this case, it's fuel. So the key thing this government needs to do is get off its high horse on this drive to net zero, at least for the short to medium term, and put in place a coherent energy strategy which makes the United Kingdom self-sufficient for gas and oil. And we are able to do that. That's what they have to focus on.
And that's great.